This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
There he is, locked and loaded. How you feeling, my man? You feeling good? Because, boy, these Canes fans, they are butthurt, bro.
Yeah, I tried to warn them. You lose that game, you don't get to the ACC championship. It's not going to happen for you. But, it's still butthurt fans. And, rightly so, man. I mean, look, they had a good season. But I tried to warn you guys. It's all about the TV ratings. It's all about the SEC and the Big Ten and the Power 2. And that's always going to take precedent.
Quality, no. Listen, I broke it down for them, okay? And you know this already. Alabama beat 4 ranked teams. Miami beat none.
Mm-hmm.
None. They beat South Carolina unranked. They finished ranked 14th. So that's 5 teams on their schedule. Miami had no one ranked before or after. They didn't beat anybody ranked when it's all said and done. And adding insult to injury, they beat Georgia when they were 2. Now they're 5. They beat Tennessee when they were 11. Now they're 7. They beat Missouri when they were 21. Now they're 19. And LSU is the only one out of the 4 that they beat in the regular season that dropped out of the top 25. So 2 of the 4 are higher ranked than when they played them. And one of them is still top 5 ranked, overall. So and here's the kicker when it's all said and done. If Miami was playing Alabama, who you betting on? Okay,
Right.
So enough already. You have no resume. You've beaten nobody. I get it. Alabama had one bad day. The problem is the Canes didn't have one good day. And that's the problem. You didn't have one good day, where Alabama had a good day against Georgia, had a good day against Tennessee. At Tennessee, by the way, they won. Okay? Had a good day against Missouri, LSU, and South Carolina. I can't say that on Miami's resume. So in the end, to hang on to the one Oklahoma State loss, which I know was a bad loss, but there are no quality wins. I'm sorry, bro. You have no case whatsoever. Shayna, they bought their tickets. They knew what they were getting into. I say, let them crash. And that's what this is, bro. The airplane scene. Point, counterpoint. You got what you deserved.
Yeah. Look, there's no doubt the SEC isn't as good a conference as it was the last few years. And I think you can see that across the board in terms of the results. So I understand hey, maybe the SEC doesn't deserve as much respect as they're getting. But the bottom line is, this is what I told you was going to happen if they lost the game. And if you look at college basketball, right? College football hasn't gotten to the point now where you have to make these decisions over who the 12th team is. This is the first year we've gotten to that point. But if you want to use other models, right, look at college sports in other ways. Look at college basketball every single year. There's always teams that you look at and say, man, their resume is better than the team that got into the field of 64. But that's what happens when you're the 64th team, right, trying to get into the field. Like, you leave yourself up to that problem. And all Miami had to do was win one of those 2 games against Georgia Tech and Syracuse, and they didn't do it.
That's it. And that's the bottom line. And that would have at least given you more of a case. But you put yourself there, and unfortunately, there are no quality wins. That's the thing, too.
Yeah, the problem is Louisville is not going to get the respect because they blew it against Stanford. Right. And that would have been a win over a 3-loss team. And then Duke is still Duke, right? People were never going to look at Duke differently in football, even though they finished 9-3 with Manny Diaz. So it is what it is, man. Like, you live in a world where, again, the SEC and Big Ten are going to always get the benefit of the doubt. You had the opportunity to finish 11-1 and avoid all of this and avoid any debate, and you didn't do it.
I give the committee a ton of credit because I like this attitude that they've taken. Last year, FSU lost their quarterback, and you saw what happened to that team. It was just a shell of it, and they knew that it would screw up the playoff. So we're not doing that. And then they looked at UM and they see them like I see them. They're frauds. They beaten nobody. They get pushed in key moments every single time. It's not the defense is, oh my God, it is pathetic. And so
I tried to warn you in August that secondary was not good.
Right. You have warned everybody about everything going on here, including being on the outside looking in right now. You've done it from the get-go, and the facts stand out for Alabama over Miami as it is.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's just, man, to me, here's where I'm really focused on Mario and his coaching staff.
Right.
You know, the defensive coordinator doesn't deserve to be brought back. And Mario Cristobal has to have some kind of, I don't know, come to Jesus, look in the mirror. He's got to, dude, it's 3 years in, and I can't say I'm impressed with him on game days. And you just had a Heisman candidate at quarterback who basically carried you, and it's a terrible conference, and you couldn't even get into the conference championship game with that guy. This season is a huge indictment on Mario Cristobal.
Yeah, I think he had an opportunity really to get himself a little bit of grace, right? If you win 11 games, you get to the college football playoff. Even if you don't win the ACC, you get into the playoff and you advance the program forward. And so you create this sort of buzz of, hey, we are headed in the right direction. There is a justification to all the spending. There is a justification to, bringing him in as coach. Now what he's done is he's set himself up for a pressure-packed fourth season where now he's got to win without Cam Ward. He's got to hire the right defensive coordinator, and he's got to prove he can win on game day against tough teams. And oh, by the way, you look at that schedule right now in 2025, and I know the rosters are going to change a ton, but it is not an easy schedule. You got to play at SMU, who's playing in the conference championship game right now. Rhett Lashley just got extended. He's not going anywhere. He's got his quarterback back next year. I know they've got a trip, I think, to Virginia Tech, which is never an easy place to play. They barely beat them this year. They've got Florida here at home against DJ Lagway, and Florida's loading up on guys right now in the recruiting and the transfer portal. They're going to be getting a ton of people in. So he's put himself in a bad situation where next year, if he doesn't win the ACC championship or doesn't get in the playoffs, well, now you've gone 4 years without doing anything to really move the program forward. So that's what was blown here. It was an opportunity to create a little bit of cushion for himself, because if he gets him there in year 3, then he doesn't make it next year. Well, you say, well, listen, he's got to replace Cam Ward. Well, that's not the case right now. Fans are going to hold him to the fire next year.
Yeah. And again, you got to start beating ranked teams. That way it doesn't get against you. And Alabama beat a few ranked teams. You didn't beat any ranked teams. That sucks, dude. And you lost to all of them. You got to do better than that. And you got to you're in a bad conference. So you need to end up in the it just reminds me a lot of the Big Least back in the day. Mm-hmm. And Miami was always doing what they were supposed to do in a conference that most of the teams cannot recruit what they recruit or get the same kind of players. They dominated. Well, most of the teams in the ACC should not be able to get what you get, okay? And Mario, by the way, he drastically apparently improved the talent this year, and yet the results in the big moments and overall, they weren't there. Dude, how does he become that guy when he's never been that guy?
You got to start winning, like you said. I mean, there's no other way around it, because, look, people are going to look at the recruiting rankings, right, and say, well, he's a hell of a recruiter. I hate to say this, but in a lot of ways, the way college football is changing, where the transfer portal, I mean, look, today's National Signing Day, and I'm not at any high school, because the honest to God truth is, it doesn't matter anymore. Yeah. These kids can sign today and be gone by the end of the spring.
Yeah. So I don't get excited. I'm with you. I don't get any excitement from silly recruits. Now, if you get a kid that's already played 3 years and he's a stud over there, and you're getting him, now that's something to get excited about. But it's hard to get excited when you look at the rankings and Oregon is number 1.
Right.
Okay. their coach left them to come here. And
Yep.
the coach they got is better than the coach they had.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Canes fans are seeing right there. This guy has gotten Oregon to number one. He's doing things that Mario never did at Oregon in a very short time. So that's what I'm seeing here, bro. That's another bad look for Mario Cristobal.
And I think the reality is that, we're going to look at the season and think about the opportunity that was blown, because if they finish 11-1, they probably even should have finished 12-0. They're number 2 or number 1 in the rankings. Miami is, right. They're right there with Oregon. But yet he couldn't get the job done. So again, an indictment on Mario and his staff. I told you in camp, they didn't do enough in the secondary. I didn't like what I saw, in certain positions on the offensive line, which, they ended up losing a guy or two there to injury for part of the season. They lost Jalen Rivers for a little bit. Didn't look as crisp after they got through the first 4 games. Cam Ward was playing a little bit too much Tecmo Bowl, out there on the field, scrambling around, making mistakes. So, look, just didn't get the job done. And yes, it's a step forward in terms of the overall record, but for what he was brought here to do, and what everybody around Miami told me he was brought in here to do, which was win championships and to put Miami on the national radar, fell short.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So the way you made it sound, you're expecting Guidry to get fired?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he will be here next year. I think there will be some coaching changes. Mario has no choice, I think, in this regard, in the sense of, you can't just sit on your hands, right, and say what we did last year was good enough. So I'm sure there's a lot of people who give money to this program that want to see changes made, and I would expect that there will be some changes on the defensive side of the football.
Yeah, I would hope so. I mean, Jesus Christ. Does
And
Jason
I tend to think you're going to have to replace your offensive coordinator too, because I'm pretty sure when you have the number 1 offense in the country, you end up getting a job somewhere else. And I know Shannon Dawson has been looking at a couple different places.
Does Jason Taylor get any consideration for defensive coordinator?
It just depends on what Jason wants to do, I think, with his career, right? I mean, he's coached now for a while. I think he's wanted to go to the pro level for a while. I think it's more about what options are out there for him in the future, and ultimately whether or not Mario just wants to bring in a whole new staff on defense. It could be just one of those mutual things. We will see, but I think right now they're not happy with the way the season ended and the way that the team played down the stretch, and I expect change. And when you change at the top, right, and you make changes at coordinator positions, that usually leads to the rest of the staff looking a whole lot different.
Yeah, and by the way, that's another indictment for Mario. He can't build a staff so far, and so you're going into your 4th year. You're not winning big games. You're really not changing the culture so far. It's still a soft culture. You're still not winning the big games, and you can't build a staff. That's a problem. That's a huge problem if you can't build a staff.
Well, they're 22-15, I think, under Mario. They were 21-15 under Manny Diaz. So status quo so far.
Yeah. No, I know. It's what the Dolphins have been doing for 40 years, the Canes are doing for 20. That's all. It's really basically the same programs.
Right. The same outfit.
One's pro, one's semi-pro.
Right.
They're basically the same thing. They can't perform in big moments. They fold, whether it's mentally, physically, whatever it is. It's basically the same things that we're going through on both of them.
Yeah. I would say the difference now from the last 20 years is they're actually throwing money at it, which is a big difference compared to what it was before. So could it get better? Yes, it could get better. But so far, there's not a sizable difference.
The Dolphins have been throwing a lot of money at it for decades, and they just can't get the right chef in the kitchen to kind of put it all together. So that's the question for the University of Miami. Now that you're actually spending, and you're giving the person all the resources, like every Dolphins coach has always had all the resources. Do you have the right person, in the kitchen? Tata Martino, could he have better resources? I
Right.
don't think so. They gave him 4 stars, European stars, a loaded MLS roster, and he couldn't get out of the first round. It's not Jorge Mas's fault. You know what I'm saying? So it's not the administration's fault. It's not Stephen Ross's fault. They're
But we
providing everything.
know this: they're not getting rid of Mario anytime soon.
No.
He's got 6 years left on his deal after this one, and
I would say 3. If anything,
yes,
2 more years, maybe in year 6, they can start to think of getting out of that long ass deal.
right. They're going to see this through for now, and they're going to spend a lot of money in the transfer portal, and they're going to spend a lot of money on coordinators and changing things, and it'll be different. It'll look different. I just hope. Look, I look at this roster right now, and I think, well, you got 2 really good young running backs that I'm excited about. You got a lot of guys on that offensive line that should be back. You got some guys on the
those running backs won't be back.
Which one?
The running backs, right? 2 of them are gone.
No. Mark Fletcher will be back, and Jordan Lyle will be back. It's Damian Martinez who's going pro. Fletcher's a sophomore, yes.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I didn't know that. I thought he was at least a junior.
No, he's only a sophomore.
So poor kid. He has to come back. He's already ready for the NFL. He doesn't need this.
There are parts here that could be utilized, but I'm very interested to see what they do this offseason, brother, because it's all about the transfer portal. And let's see who they bring in.
Sophomore?
Who's that?
You sure he's not a redshirt sophomore?
No, man. Second year kid.
Oh, man. Oh, like, I'm glad as a Canes fan, but then I got to be objective, and I got to say, oh, my God, that guy doesn't need another year of college football. He's already an NFL running back. He's got an NFL body. He is ready to go. I would love Mark Fletcher for the Miami Dolphins for the 2025 season, dude.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. I think look, they got two NFL backs that'll be back next year, and Jordan Lyle as well, who's super explosive. So and they got an offensive line, and they've got some really young talented guys on the defensive line that just haven't played yet. So I'm interested to see. That's what Mario's been doing. I'm interested to see what he builds around it and what quarterback he has.
By the way, at Canesware, you can use our code BIG-O10 and you will get 10% off anything in the store. Okay? Anything in the store, you get 10% off. And by the way, if you order over $99, you will get free shipping. So go out there, see Brett and everybody else out there. They know how to get it done. And Jeff and John, just absolutely fantastic people at 2655 South University Drive in Davie. They've got Heat gear, Dolphins gear, Panthers gear, InterMiami gear on top of anything and everything practically with the Canes logo on it. All right, Manny, is this going to hurt recruiting?
Well, they've lost a couple guys here, but I don't think it was necessarily a result of the losses. The 2 guys that they lost, Hilton Stubbs is a guy that was going to get paid a lot of money and got paid a lot of money to go to Florida. He was a top 100 recruit, a safety out of the Jacksonville area. He's got teammates that are going to Florida. So this was kind of telegraphed that was going to happen. And then they lost a linebacker in Gavin Nix to Oregon. Oregon, of course, is number 1 in the country. Gavin Nix, always had a great relationship with their coach over there. So those are the 2 kids that they've lost here in terms of their class. They're still in play for DJ Pickett. They're still in play for Tarvis Alford, 2 top 100 guys that are going to announce later today. So it's not over. The day could still get better for Miami. But look, in the end, I will invite you and anybody else who wants to talk recruiting to look at the last few recruiting classes and then just say how many of those guys made an impact and how many of those guys are gone now. That's what college football is. The recruiting, I pay a lot less attention to it than I ever did these days because it's just not as important as it used to be. No. So as long as Mario keeps restocking the shelves every year, you have a new prospect that you can hope pans out. And then if he's gone in 2 years, you recycle and bring in another new guy every 2 years. That's just the way it works.
Yeah. No, I don't have I don't have a problem with that. Like I told you, I get more excited if they get a kid that's played somewhere else for a few years, like the Cam Ward thing. Like, okay, this is
Right.
something that can make a real difference. By the way, who's going to be the future at quarterback? Will it be Williams?
Yeah, I think, look, right now, you look at the quarterback field, there's some guys that I know that they would probably be interested in that aren't in the portal yet, which is usually the way this works. Oh, those conversations are being had now. Hey, do you want to jump in the portal and come to Miami and be our quarterback? Did you see what Cam Ward just did? We can put you in the same situation. So I think those conversations are being had right now. I don't think there's anybody that's in the portal right now that Miami is seriously interested in. But there will be guys if they decide to jump in.
All right, what do you got going on in the Athletics so folks can check you out, my friend?
Yeah, ton to read over the next few days. I'm doing a ton of work on the transfer portal. I'm covering that with Sam Khan quite a bit and some other reporters there in terms of guys jumping in and what's going to happen, etc. You can read about Miami's athletic director, Dan Radakovich, and ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips, what they had to say about Miami getting ranked 12th in the college football poll rankings, if you're interested in that. There's a lot of other stuff, man. I'm just churning out so much content. I'm going to be writing about Florida today, Florida's recruiting class, because Billy Napier was basically left for dead, and all of a sudden they beat LSU, and everything changes for them, and they're actually going to have a really good recruiting class this year. So kudos to the Gators for doing that.
He had to turn it around, dude.
He had no choice. His back was against the wall. So it played out exactly how I predicted. By the way, before the season, I said if his only hope was DJ Lagway, and sure enough, his only hope turned out to be DJ Lagway. So it worked out for him. And I'll have a story on Deion Sanders, who actually has his best recruiting class at Colorado.
Again, I laugh at I laugh at all of those people that just question that guy, bro.
Yeah,
like that's the dumbest shit in the world. And by the way, he's not going to the pros. And he's not going to Florida State or Alabama or Michigan or not. He's going to stay there, and he's going to try to build a monster there. Everybody wants to put him somewhere else, and he tells you. I watch all his press conferences.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about his recruiting classes and what's coming up and all that kind of stuff, and he boldly tells the reporters, like, y'all got me going somewhere else, but we're worried about this recruiting class coming up. And next year, we're already thinking 2 years ahead before you guys are thinking of me somewhere else. You know what I mean? And it's like he's constantly telling you, like, if he would leave, it would be worse than I'm not going to be the Alabama coach. Why? Because he tells you practically in every press conference how much he's dedicated, how much he loves that place.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's stupid. It's ridiculous. And then there's Michael Irving. Oh, no, if they draft Shador, they could get Deion. Bro, you even know the guy, and you can't even go get the truth because he's not leaving, dude. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, and by the way, he's not an NFL coach. He really loves this shit.
You could tell when he started coaching the All-Star games before he became a college coach. He just loved, and part of that was because he wanted to be around his sons and coach them. But I think also he enjoys it from a different perspective. He doesn't need the money, right? I mean, he's Deion. He's got lots of that. But I think he does it because he just enjoys being around the kids. Now, he doesn't want to deal with all the BS of recruiting. He's not going to go on the road and do all that. But in terms of having kids come into his house, talking to transfers, building a winner, that is a thrill for him. And I think there's a lot of former athletes. Ray Lewis might be another one who want to sort of copy the Deion model and just do it the way he's done it.
Don't, Ray. It's not going to work out for you, bro. You're not defenders, bro. Don't. The preaching thing will. Deion doesn't preach.
Right.
That's the difference. Sometimes he's colorful. But he's not really a preacher. He kind of just is a truth teller. And Ray he just goes above and beyond. And I saw him on television or whatever. It's like, he's fun and piecemeal, just like a little interview here or there, But then after that, it becomes too much. I don't think Ray Lewis will be what Deion Sanders. I don't think anybody's Deion Sanders, bro. That's all.
Well, you got to really know the game, and you got to really know how kids work. And I think while these guys might be Hall of Fame players, it's a different jump up to building a roster, building a coaching staff, and running a program. That's an entirely different challenge than just knowing the game.
And Deion's personality. He's a guy that can connect. Ray's never really been that guy. He's kind of that guy that's almost unapproachable, intimidating,
Right.
things like that. Whereas Deion Sanders is the guy that kind of undresses the whole situation and loosens everything up right away. You know what I'm saying? So bro, they just don't make people like that guy. I don't know how many times I can repeat it. I just watch them, dude. There's just different. There are people like this, and the Magic Johnsons of the world or whatever. They are different than others, and look at Magic. He's been great in business and things like that. And so, some guys have that touch, he wasn't great at coaching. He couldn't do the coaching part, right? But he's got that personality. He can reach people. He's a good business guy. He was a great player, great leader, all of that. It's not everybody can do it, bro. Not everybody can do it. And Deion's a special cat. So what's this piece about?
Just about the fact that he actually is going to have his best recruiting class. He hasn't paid much attention to it. Everything has been through the transfer portal. And this year he's actually put more effort into high school recruiting, which maybe is a sign that he's there for the long term and not just, signing a bunch of free agent guys. So he's doing it a little differently in terms of roster build. And I thought that was interesting. He's got one of the best quarterbacks in the country.
Remember, when you get there, you need the NIL guys to turn it around quickly and start getting some stuff going. And then as you're getting it going, you can then lay the groundwork for recruiting and getting. So I kind of understand that when you get there, you're gutting the program so quickly. You need to get guys in there that are experienced so you can help kind of play your style of football right away and start showing people so you can recruit people. So I understand the method behind the madness, why he went that way.
Yeah. And look, again, I think all of us sort of just took it as this is about his son getting out quickly.
Right.
Now he's acting in a different way, and be interesting to see how his career develops from here.
You got it. All right, man. Follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navarro. And of course, go to Caneswear, man. Brett and all the great people at Caneswear, InterMiami gear, Miami Dolphins, Miami Heat, Florida Panthers, Miami Marlins. Check it all out. Go see Brett and all the great people out there. They know how to get it done. This is our Caneswear Miami Hurricanes report.